Okay, everyone, I'm super excited about today's conversation, making sure we're going live and everything's good to go. As we all know, I love having on this platform conversations that are intended to help other event industry business professionals with being able to have the success that they desire inside of their business. So, of course, today, when I first heard about this company, it was like to check and see. Is this, I really I value the audience I have. And I want to make sure I'm not the probably make you aware of some really big platforms that are out there. And sometimes when we hear about events, I think that we find ourselves feeling a big guns to only thinking of weddings, unfortunately, and not understanding that events to be a very broad spectrum of things. Where some people only agree with corporate and different types of escrows. And so if you're one of those types of business owners, it's going to be a great conversation for you. So you watch the definitely tune in. So today I have Catherine, as a guest today to have a great conversation about vendor management because I always talk about that on this platform because we can actually all things by ourselves and nor do you choose to, but we're looking to have teams and have either some of our coffee offset either for allowing vendor spaces. Because that is a thing, and we will dig into that a little bit more, and then we'll go to the litany as well. But I just want to first say thank you, Kat, for being a guest today and being a guest.
So much for having me. It's so great to be here, and I'm so excited to talk about vendor events. It's my favorite type of event to go to for work or just for fun. And I've seen almost everything. At least I think. I always think I've seen everything, and then I see something else. But I'm so excited to
Yes.
dig into it.
Yeah, and I find the vendor events have been absolutely growing and having this insurgents, I would say, in the last 5 ish 10 years, and maybe because my age bracket has changed as well. Like I remember during maybe holiday season, you'll see some laboring like of course like, oh, come to this. So it's trying to help you a helper, and then you can buy things, and now you're starting to see more and more people doing these festivals and these bigger scale events, and it was so one time when I first found out about your company, where this company was because I knew that some people on my platform weren't doing it to private and social events. And they're like, well, I'm tired of using some of your competitors with some of the days in which we can use. And so all of a sudden I got this message from you. It was great. Because I'm actually people reaching out because more people are wanting to either do pop-up events or doing these women's conferences or you're just trying to have expos. And when you hear expo, pretty soon we're talking about calling like thousands of people. This could also be a small and more intimate area, only expecting to get 40 to 50 tickets sold. You still have to keep in control of what you're marketing for your business. Because marketing is lightning, but then if you have the opportunity to sell the be the fact can be a revenue stream for you to be able to produce out of it. It's might have opportunities for sponsorships, where we have the opportunity for people to volunteer. All of those things do matter. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about the net and like what are some of the things that you find people are looking to your platform to be able to use it for?
Yeah, definitely. First, I love what you said about seeing an uptick in vendor events because that definitely has been the case, especially within the past 5 years. I don't know
Mhm.
about you, but I remember growing up, or I would see like farmers markets, but that would
Yes.
be about it. There wasn't like open markets, street markets in the way that there is today. And I
Yeah.
think that that comes from a shift of more people wanting to shop small and small shop local, um,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting places available for them to do that. And so here at Eventeny, we focus on all sorts of events, but we definitely host primarily vendor events on our platform. And our platform is built out specifically to make it as easy as possible to host vendor events from applications, booth assignments, payment processing, all of that done all in one place, and the
Yeah.
ability to copy over things like applications so that you only have to really do the work once. And if your
Yeah.
event is similar next time, you can just kind of use the template that you created. And we found that there was really a gap in the market for that kind of software because, like you said, a lot of softwares are focused on planning either weddings or like huge, huge, huge festivals. And there's not really someone in the market for, the person in between who's hosting like a community event or an open
Mm-hmm.
market on their block that still needs that technological support because it is such a difficult job.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a difficult time because, like, sometimes people, I feel like for individuals that are hosting some of these events, one thing that can be alarming for some vendors is when they feel as if just the communication that you're having with them is shaky. Then they're like, I don't know, I really even want to invest in putting my money to potentially being represented a part of this. So by using a platform like Eventeny, I think that is helpful because one, if someone's giving you money, you want them to be able to actually know a little bit more because on some of the competitors that are out there, it just doesn't really give all that information. So it can sometimes I feel like you leery, and I feel like by being able to have a uniform way for people to feel confident of actually getting money, because really is a lot of small businesses are finding themselves with the distance where they're wanting to get promos doing half of is this thing due to the house so I want to have X amount of money available to essentially earn another credit. Then I need to make sure that this is going to one have professional people actually get putting this together. Because if it's not, then they're like, I just wait, even if it's a $70 or a $20 ticket, well, they're like, I want to make not just that much dollars, but I want to get a lot of money out of this opportunity or just the exposure and lead to more opportunities outside of it. Because what happened, I know from people I've worked with in the past when they either taken a chance or made an investment for a venture table, they found themselves in a position where there was just no one came. I just felt like the person was just doing like a money grab. You don't want that to ever happen when you're hosting events. You want it to be that you're asking the same people sometimes come to these events because it was such an amazing experience for them. And then they were able to make because people don't feel like this like they're being used. So when you are going to be doing a vendor event, you do want to make sure that you're building up that trust and rapport so that people want to spend their money with you as a vendor. And then you also want to make sure that they're having a good experience, not that it's a money grab. Because I know I've seen people feel that way. And I know years ago now we do vendor tables for some things for another business I did. It felt bad. Like the person said, oh yeah, we're going to have 500 people come and only like 30 people came. You're like, oh, you oversold on this. Where with a platform like Eventeny, I love the thing that I identified about was the fact that you can do a diagram of the space. And so what vendors are at certain tables. I was like, oh, that is amazing. Because I know even just to be on a client side of it, I like to know where I'm going. Like, I'm not just like person personally. I'm not going to just roam around and look at the table. I know I lie to you and say that that's the relative, but I am not that person. I like to look, oh, this person's here. Oh, let me go see that. And if I just happen to walk past other people, tables and things like that, and it's okay. But often it helps you to know from a client standpoint, a vendor and like an actual visitor standpoint, well, this is where this person is. You can now look out to see what are some of the other vendors that are going to be there that are in that space. Do you find that that's also helpful when someone is hosting their event on your site?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I also want to go back to what you said about vendors needing to see a return on investment when they invest in a certain event, because that is so, so important. And we tell that to a lot of our event organizers, especially if we have event organizers on the platform that are just starting up, which we have quite a few of those as well as more, events that have been in the community for a lot longer. And it's so important because as an event organizer, obviously you want to see a return on investment on your event because that's your livelihood. It's the same way for vendors. That's their livelihood and they need to see a return on their investment, the money that they're putting into your event. And that's the best way to get repeat vendors as well, because when you find a vendor that you really can build that trust with and really build that relationship with, they'll want to keep returning to your event. And the more vendors you have that want to keep coming back and can spread that positive word of mouth about the experience they had at your event, that's how you really can grow and scale. Because the more vendors that come and the more vendors that have a good experience, just the better word that's spread about your event throughout the community. And so I just really like that you touched on that. But back to the interactive map, we get so much positive feedback from our interactive map because of exactly what you said. It's 2024. People want to be able to go look online, see the event, see who's going to be there, and figure out like what their game plan is going to be, especially for those larger events that we host, like open markets or, fandom conventions that have maybe 600 vendor booths. It's like nobody wants to walk around 600 booths to find, the artist station or, a specific person. So people really do like that. And it's also very helpful just for organization on the event organizer side, because not only is that interactive map something that your attendees can see, you can change that on the fly and it will immediately be updated on our site. But also if you embed it into your website, which you can do, it'll immediately update. So you don't have to worry about like going into Illustrator or going into your software, changing something, reprinting it, re-uploading it, like calling a designer. And all of that hassle is completely wiped away because you can do everything yourself. We built the platform thinking of the average person. The event organizer is really just like an average person with a passion about one specific thing. And so what can I do? Can I like go code a map into my website? Can I, make all these edits? No, I personally can't do that. So other people probably can't either or don't want to. And so that's what we think about when we try and, add features or expand on the features that we already have.
And I think it's really cool too, because what some people are able, that some of the vendors are able to do is as they're promoting, because this is something too that's important, is that yes, you're doing your part to promote the events, and then also if people go to his website, they'll be able to see what's their competitors are. You can go and see what's going on. Be very curious. So you'll also potentially have the ability to have people that find your events through their website, and of course, if you are an event planner, you're promoting the event yourself, or with the actual organizer that is in charge of everything that you may be working for. But you want it to be that even that vendor can say, hey, you can see us at this event, and then they would be saying, I'll get it, see, well, blah, 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 by this. But that to me is so not cool, because what happens a lot of times is that people are like, I'm going to be around all the tables left for me. I like the fact that you can easily just go so happy to see, oh, I'm going to actually be at the stage, or I'm going to be fast food, like it would be able to help you see all of those things. So when I think of vendor relationships, it's so important for it to be a win-win for both. Yes, you can give someone an opportunity, you can do all the things that you want to do and execute. And it's not for you to do the spell, so you just they not do well with that, and that's the part of their responsibility. But we want to make sure that you're giving the best opportunity you can for someone to be able to make money if they catch you money. Then that way too, what happens is that it helps with good word of mouth. Because believe me, when someone has a horrible experience because they eat the part of your neighborhood, don't think that they're not sharing it with someone. So
Oh,
you
they'll
don't want it
let
to
everyone know.
become that it bites you in the butt. That people, when you see your name that you're hosting these events, and they're like, yeah, don't go to that. Okay, to be a vendor, they didn't have that because that happens. Even in the big cities, because I know personally when some of my coaching clients came to me, they're like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to tell any of my friends to actually set tables at this specific event. They don't want anyone to ever feel that. So that's why I think it's super important to really use the platform is going to allow people to have as much transparency as you can and when it comes to that type of relationship.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, you mentioned when you're giving somebody an opportunity to vend at your event, you want to give them, the best shot that you can to really be successful at your event. And something that we see a lot of event organizers, especially ones who are just starting out, maybe disregard a little bit is booth placements for their vendors. And that is really very, very important, specifically not putting vendors of the same kind of like item or food or anything together in the same space, not having competitors be like right smack dab next to each other. That's something that's really important to take into account. Or not having, 6 coffee carts if your event is just in this little tiny park. Not having 7 gold jewelry vendors if you only have, 30 vendors total. You need to have a good mix, because otherwise 6 of those necklace vendors aren't going to make any money, and then they're not going to want to come back. So it's, it can be very tempting, I think, as somebody who's worked in the event space, on the organizer side, and also looking at it from the side that I'm on now. it can be very tempting to just anybody who wants to come sell at my event, like you can all come in, like you're all writing me a check, like this is so great, I make so much money, the more the but that can get very out of hand very quickly. And then you can very easily find yourself in a situation where now nobody's making money because the buyers are having decision fatigue because they're walking around all these booths. They don't know what they want. The sellers, are right next to their competition. And so they feel like they're not going to make any money anyways. And no one's happy,
Yeah.
And so I think it's like a double-edged sword, especially when accepting vendors for your events. I would say it sounds crazy, but less really is more, especially if you're just starting out. You want to have a manageable amount of different people with different skill sets that can make you have like a very well-rounded event.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that that's super important with organizing events. And some people may not think of it that way. They may think of it like, okay, I need to get these 10 tables sold, or I need to get these 20 tables sold. But you have to have diversity when it comes to those types of spots because what happens is, one, when people get there and you see that there's 10 other participants, real others do that, they automatically check out. They're like, I don't believe this happened. They're upset because it happened. And they again, it gives them this bad taste. But then also too, from your attendee standpoint, they're like, why are there 10 different jewelry vendors? Unless it's a jewelry fest, We're looking at that issue. It makes a ton of sense. But you don't want it to be that you have a lot of competition or overlap. So when you are organizing your events, when it comes to vendor relationships, is that you want to be able to make sure that you're taking the effort and making the effort so that you're attracting different types of vendors. And by having, promptly for people to sign up to be potential vendors on a platform like Eventeny, like that is a awesome transition for people because they're like, oh, thanks for reaching out. I see what I'm talking to you. You could think of different ways you want to actually market that vendor opportunity. I feel that that is a part of your strategy when it comes to organizing events. I do think that some of this just naturally get people to join or attend, depending if people have to pay to get into the space or if it's free. And you have to be honest, like if people have to pay into the space and your price points might for those vendors might be more expensive, you have to think about what's the audience that's going to be there. If that's people only pay that basic ticket price, but then you have vendors that pay for those tables, and it just doesn't make sense for the attendee to spend. And yeah, you have someone that I saw this money to come, but they're not going to spend. So that's where it's also important for organizers to be present to who are they really attracting to come to these events, because that helps you with choosing the right vendors to even try to have sign up. Because if you have someone that has very, I'll say very, it's all relative to the person's finances, but let's say they have products that tend to run over $200-300, and it's something that some people would think that they would only spend $30 on. You can give that person the opportunity. So I think that just how I always hear, like every consumer have the right customer, every vendor is the right vendor. You have to be honest and look at the person's product. Make sure it's a good fit for who you're marketing this tech and like that too, so that it makes sense. Because it might be like, well, they should know. Like everyone doesn't put things together, and I think it's super important for us as organizers and players to do our due diligence to ensure that people are aware of who we're targeting and the type of people that will actually attend the event.
Yes, that's so true. And I think knowing I actually am doing a speaking session at a conference in a couple of weeks now. And this is one of the main things that I'm hitting on about event marketing is knowing your audience and knowing your demographic is so important because those are the people that you're trying to impress, is your community, especially if it's a smaller event, really just focus on marketing to the people in your direct radius and think about what are those people like? What's the average income in my community? How much can these people, afford to come out and spend? If tickets are $10, they're not going to want to go buy a $6 coffee. So it's like a delicate balance that you need to really think about. And I think there's a hesitation on event organizers to not sell tickets because they think they're not going to make any money if their event is free. And that really couldn't be further from the truth, And in fact, you might make less money through selling tickets because of what we just mentioned, People aren't going to be spending as freely. And so having vendors and having even there's no harm in having your own booth set up if you're a community organization, you want to sell merch, do something, or have a profit sharing system with some of your vendors. There's so many other ways to make money beyond charging exorbitant booth fees and, you know, really high ticket prices. The best way I think to get word of mouth about your event is to make it very open to the public and do a ton of marketing just, you know, on the street. Like I live in Chicago and I can't tell you how many street festivals I've gone to because I saw like a flyer on one of the like lampposts stapled on there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so it really doesn't have to be difficult. You don't need to do paid social media ads or anything crazy. Just
Yeah.
stay within your community. And then if your event is successful, it will grow naturally because people will talk about it and more people will want to try to join in, you know?
Yeah, and so what we do also then allows you internet because that's the part of Google. Like I often talk on behalf from my know that they, you know, I'm sure there may be people in different areas that might have come across this video. But even so, yes, I do create content for people in different areas. However, earlier, just got home from a networking event. I had myself out and these the Dallas Fort Worth streets always getting in front of people because it's so important for us to build up rapport and relationships. So when you're trying to do these events or get vendors, like one of these I would even recommend is being intentional. Like when not get your stuff set like some jetway. Because I find sometimes people call and they're like, oh, be great feeling that. And it drives you sick because after the same with their soul, like they never you can tell them wait, but let's be real. In this day and age, people can tell when these are money. And sometimes they grab the money, and then sometimes you just really can't. And like the data that both ways makes people feel some sort of way. So if it's not enough of a planning period to do the adequate enough marketing so that way you can be more intentional with the relationships that you're trying to build, the marketing and materials that you have. You can either then try to get different sponsors to be a part of this so that offset some of the costing that you're having. But it is important for people to know you locally so they can put the shit inside of their networks and you get some foot traffic in there. And I do think audience for free, but people do spend. Like I personally, when I used to live in DC, I would rename go to the farmers market. Always going to spend money. So they're just spending a farmers market. How's that look for you for me? The produce section, of course, you don't have multiple produce, but each month actually had something different that they offer. Outside of like the cedar apples and stuff like that. So some that you can tell that they have more mushrooms and like organic kind of stuff. Some other ones they had food exotic fruits and things like that. But still, they didn't allow 20 farmers. They had 10 farmers that they allowed to sell. And even in that type of space for farmers, like people sometimes don't realize that when you're having vendors, it's very important for us to have some intentionality with who we're trying to market to and the type of vendors and what we're going to have.
Yes, exactly. And I love that you mentioned a farmer's market because I was actually just talking to a farmer's market in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And, you know, you probably noticed the trend where at farmer's markets now we're getting a little bit more into like the lotion space, like goat milk soap, stuff like that, skincare. And that's a great way to differentiate your farmer's market. And people really like that. I love buying natural products when I go to a farmer's market. This farmer's market in particular, however, really leaned into that, like very heavily leaned into that. And so now we're talking about a farmer's market where there's one farmer who sells like lettuce and potatoes and like a few other things, and like 3, 4, 5 people who sell soap. And it's like, well, people came for a farmer's market though. You market it as a farmer's market. People want to see the farmers. We've got 6 people selling goat's milk. So maybe if that's the route you want to go, if you find that's being successful, maybe you're looking for like an artisan craft fair, you know, a maker's market, something like that. Maybe it's time for a rebrand. But what I noticed from, you know, their feedback that they gave me, this isn't a client of ours, it's actually a family member of mine who organizes this farmer's market in their town. So I don't think she'll mind me talking about it.
Okay.
But the feedback that they were giving to me is that it wasn't very successful. And I said, well, probably because you didn't have any farmers there. And people in Stone Mountain, Georgia are not going to want like little earrings and little, you know, skincare things. They want vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. That's why they're coming to the farmer's market. And so I think they're going to rework it a little bit next year, but it's important to stay true to your brand, and it just speaks more to knowing what your community wants. If you've had a successful event for all these years, it's totally okay to add a few things in, mix it up a little bit, but you don't want to stray so far away that people don't recognize your event anymore.
Yeah, then the thing is too with farmers markets, with artists and not just compared to farmers markets, people too, unless you're just the head person is shopping every week, there's no reason for them to come back every week. I'm not going to go up through. So then what happens is that you're going to have to do, in my opinion, even more marketing to keep getting new faces to come in and compared to your food. I'm going to come every week because I go to the grocery store every week. So what happens unknowingly, you are killing off the repeat clients because I can't keep buying lotions or
Yes.
anything that's not food every week. So that's too comes down to us as organizers of understanding what are the habits. So if I do something more frequent, what can I do to be able to make sure that people actually could come back frequently? So if it's always clothing, I'm not going to shop every time you have an event. But if I need food in certain sense of perishable, it makes sense for me to do.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Oh, sorry, go right ahead.
no, I'm just gonna say, so for the platform, what types of businesses or types of events do most people are finding themselves hosting on your platform?
It's so crazy because it's literally all kinds of events that you can possibly think of, to be honest. Besides, like weddings and personal events, we don't see that as much because our platform is much more tailored to commerce, like having an event that is, designed to make money, or a fundraiser, because we have a lot of nonprofits as well. But we see, I would say, three main categories of events. First, we have our fandom conventions. So that's like Comic-Con, GalaxyCon, things like that for different fandoms, and those are huge, and they're also usually vendor events as well. So we have that side of it, and then we have your farmers markets, your street markets, artisan craft fairs, things like that, which are either like recurring monthly, or if it's a farmers market, like you mentioned, probably a little more often weekly, but like recurring vendor events that are usually happening like in the summer and fall. And then in our third category, we have city hosted events and like county fairs and things like that are hosted by either like a board of directors, a farmers co-op, or a city, which that could include like music festivals or like pride events, parades, fireworks shows, things like that are like one-time events that are hosted by some sort of municipal organization. So I would say those are our three main categories, but of course there's always like little offshoots, and you'll get the random boat show or car show or anything like that. You'll get random ones, but I would say typically those are our three categories that most people fall into.
Okay, perfect. And then for vendor management, what are some of the things outside of people name the vendor table? What are some other things that an organizer can actually manage inside of Eventeny?
There's so many things. So, I mean, if we're just talking about vendors, you can create the applications for your vendors on Eventeny fully from scratch. You can customize them, make customizable questions. We start with like a very basic template, but you can really add to it and make it your own. So you can create your applications, have your vendors apply on Eventeny, and then you can approve, reject, or waitlist your vendors on Eventeny as well. And you can either do this in bulk by like clicking a bunch of names and hitting approve, or one by one. And you can also have it so that a message is automatically sent out when you take one of those actions. And then we also have a contract signing feature on Eventeny. So kind of like DocuSign, we have that built into our platform. So if you need to have a contract for your vendor, you can do that through the platform as well. And then, as you mentioned earlier, our interactive mapping, so booth placements for vendors, you can either let vendors pick their own booths, which is a little risky, but some people love to do that, or you can assign booths to vendors on the platform in using our interactive map. And then the nice thing is, if you want vendors to pick their own booths, they can look around and they can see where people who have already pitch their booths are going to be. So if they know like, oh, I don't like her, I don't want to be next to her, they can not sit next to her. If they're like, oh, I like, that's my friend, like, let me go over there. They can do that. But then you also have that power as the event organizer to see the whole list of vendors and place them strategically all within this one platform. And we also have kind of that same build out of features, the application workflow and everything. We have that for volunteers, if you need volunteers for your event, sponsors. And then we also have a fundraising feature, which I actually just used myself today because we were doing an event with the Humane Society in Dallas, actually. And so we have fundraising, sponsors, the interactive mapping, and then, of course, ticket sales, really anything you could possibly need, to be honest, to plan an event. I can't think of really any aspect that you would need that's not on there.
Yes. Well, I think that's great, especially for the organizers. Like when I first now about the platform, I was like, oh, this is great because I know that even if there's no private steps, I know they've hosted public dining experiences and things of that
We have
nature.
those too.
Use it to be able to sell tickets. Like there has to be something out there that can, and something like, I think about having sponsors at the same way that they're hosting this summit. There has to be something out there. So I thought that this would be a really great conversation for us to have on this platform because I always want to find really great platforms for those of you that are in the event industry so that you can streamline because we need to find some type of option, especially in 2024 when you're talking about growing and scaling. So I truly, really appreciate you speaking with us today. Anyone that is still watching, I still want for you to know I have a link inside of the description. So then that way you're able to get access to several in conversation with our team so that you can start to talk about your organizing events so that you can stop using some of the competitors out there and feeling the pain that you may be feeling when it comes to organizing your event. If there's anything else you would like to share, just the platform or you just coming up, feel free to do that.
I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm so excited to be able to have had this conversation about the platform. I think I just wanted to say that it doesn't matter the size of your event. The first step to getting organized and growing is really just putting everything all in one place. And I think there's a tendency for people to think that you only need a software when you get to be this huge event. In reality, the events on our platform that make the most money, like the millions and millions and millions of dollar events, they started with us when they were like baby tiny and just had one event. And now they're hosting events literally all over the country and the world and bringing in millions of dollars a year. But they started small and they started with us and we were able to collaborate with them and help them see that growth. So thank you so much for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. And anyone that has questions, please feel free to comment below and I'll make sure that we address them once the recording is uploaded. All right, y'all, as always, make sure to subscribe and comment below because this content is all for you. And thank you again.
Thanks, guys.